Welcome back. It's a campaign aimed at protecting your teen or young adult. I caught up with Dr. Todd Wolin and Blake Schuchart to find out why they say vaccinations for meningococcal meningitis is important. Take a look.
The people that are greatest at risk are teens and young adults. This is why we recommend vaccine first at 11 to 12 years of age, but the second dose at 16 is the entire reason for the National Meningitis Association's campaign for the 16 vaccine campaign. And that second dose is critical to give kids protection into their late teens and early 20s.
All right, Blake, let me ask you, what's your experience with this, and tell me a little bit about your story.
So I was a senior in high school when I first came down with flu-like symptoms. I had a stiff neck, high fever. I developed purple spots all over my body. Went to the emergency room where it was determined that I did contract bacterial meningitis. I was given a 0% chance of making it the first night with a 20% chance after about day 3. At the time there was a vaccine that I could have received while in high school, but I was unaware of it at the time. So now we're just pushing that teens get the second dose of the meningococcal vaccination and talk to their healthcare providers about receiving it.
When you say the second dose of it, you're talking about the first dose is when and the second dose is in high school?
So yeah, the first dose is given at age 11 to 12. And that dose has been pretty well received as far as most kids tend to get that. The second dose at age 16, less than half of the kids are getting that 16-year dose, which is recommended by the CDC. And as Blake indicated, this is a disease that can affect organs, the brain, kidneys, and again, this is the terrifying part about this disease is it can go from mild symptoms to life-threatening or death within hours.
Yeah, it's definitely scary. Blake, tell me, afterwards, I obviously said day 3, 20%, but as you got through this, what are some of the challenges you face?
Well, one of the biggest things that happened was my kidneys shut down, so I had to go on kidney dialysis for a little over a year. I received a kidney transplant when I was the age of 19, and currently I just take medication, but all is going well. I do work as a nephrology nurse working in dialysis, so I get to provide patients with the same treatment that I received as a young adolescent. But like I said, the vaccine, if I knew about it, it could have potentially kept all of these things from happening to me.
Yeah, it's great you chose to get into the field that saved your life. That's really admirable. Doc, talk a little bit about how contagious this disease is and what the best treatments and defense is.
Yeah, this is a disease that's absolutely contagious and can be spread from person to person through saliva, coughing, shared drinks, things like that. The best defense is vaccination. What I tell my parents and patients in my practice, it's like a seatbelt. You use it for protection against something that might happen, in this case from an exposure and an infection. So you can't be protected unless you're vaccinated, and that second dose at 16, that's the reason for the 16 vaccine campaign, it's critical to get that dose at 16.
Well, I appreciate your time today, guys. Where can our viewers go to get more information about this?
Sure. We definitely recommend that people go to the16vaccine.org website. It has great information there from the National Meningitis Association.
Special thanks to nonprofit National Meningitis Association for that.